Yo, y'all, what's up? This is Cato. Just wanted to speak on a few little issues that I've been kind of hearing a lot of and wanted to kind of address some of the issues when it comes to the anxiety. Um, the first thing that I always tell mostly all of my clients that I work with, and for those who probably spoke with me in the past, knows the first thing I always say is stay off the internet and stop talking to people who's suffering with anxiety. There's a reason why. Because when you're talking to people who's suffering, they actually affects your day. So for instance, if you're having a good day or it feels like you're having a day where the anxiety is not antagonizing you, you can get on the phone with someone who may be having a bad day and they start to give you information about how they feel. And they also insinuate information that they've heard or received through a text message from someone that reached out to them. And y'all start sampling with each other with the symptoms. Did you feel this? Did you feel that? And I'm not blaming any of you guys for um, just trying to find a peace of mind. You know, when you get vulnerable dealing with anxiety, you tend to try to reach out to people to try to feel better. I mean, I get that. And again, I'm not upset that you do it. I'm just saying you have to find another way to humble yourself and remove yourself from the people who can create more anxiety for you. Because if you have a okay day where the anxiety is not bad, and you get on the phone with someone who's having a bad day, it's going to rub off on you, and then it's going to create some type of panic with you, or you may feel some cases of depression because you have days where you feel okay, you have days where you think you're okay, you have days where you're just miserable. You don't know how to feel, you're out of touch. Family don't understand. You know, this is a journey, man, and it is hard, it's tough, it's, as I tell people all the time, it's the worst experience I've ever had in my entire life. So I just want you guys to know that, you know, when you're dealing with it, of course, you're going to feel compelled to wanting to read information on anxiety and where it started and what's caused it and whatnot. And I know sometimes you want to think of the details of what anxiety, how anxiety affects the body. And what I mean by that is a lot of times we read into things. We take anxiety to a whole different level because at the end of the day, we're breaking down what it does to the mind. We breaking down the recovery date. We're breaking down when you should get better and all these other things that comes with you being vulnerable and trying to heal at the same time. So there's no need to dig for more information about anxiety. In its simplest form, it's just anxiety. And you have to surrender. Um, a lot of y'all don't know what it feels like to surrender, but surrendering to the symptom is basically humbling yourself and just allowing it to take you where it takes you. As I told one of my clients is, if you're tired, just be tired. If you up and about, just be up and about. Let it take you. You're going to have thoughts in your mind that shouldn't be there. We know what they are. We know about the intrusive thoughts. We know that they show up because they want to. We know the catastrophic thinking that occurs. We know that the body goes through all types of issues as you're recovering. And a lot of y'all have to understand, man, the mind eventually connects and goes back to the normal state, which we which creates the confidence. You don't need the reassurance no more because you can think it, you can feel it, you can be about it. You know, when you have the anxiety, it's the opposite. Um, you have to get away from the other people who are also suffering, because it becomes contagious. You know, if I'm getting better and I'm dealing with someone who's still dealing with the worst of it, they're going to create more anxiety for me. Now, don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. You're going to recover regardless. But you, instead of making some of these days that may be considered a decent day, instead of making that day a decent day, just by talking to someone who has anxiety, that's suffering, they make that whole day bad for you. Um, Reading on everybody else's anxiety, trying to figure it out, trying to study the human brain. I can promise you, when you recover and you go back to being normal, that's the last bullshit that's gonna go through your mind, is worrying about what the brain is thinking and how it operates. You have no interest in it. You're only doing it now just because you're vulnerable and you're scared. So yeah, you're gonna look into all this additional stuff that you think is wrong. Yeah, you're gonna become an expert at certain things psychologically, because that's what anxiety gets you in that situation, where you just want to know everything about the mind all of a sudden. But if you go 10 years ago, before you had anxiety, you didn't give a shit about none of this thinking that you have today. You didn't care about it. And as I was told by one of my clients, actually, they asked a question, and I was being honest. I was like, well, to be honest with you, if I hadn't never suffered the anxiety, I'll probably still be drinking that Red Bull. To be real honest with you, I'll still probably be associating myself with caffeine. And that's just being straight with you, because there's people that's been drinking it forever and never had any setbacks. Okay, and there's a difference, because sometimes substance can push you over the edge and create the anxiety, and sometimes we can take the initiative and listen to our bodies and listen to our mindset and remove ourselves from it without being forced. But of course, the reason why you're watching this video right now is because you was forced off of it by either taking pre-workout, um, taking some type of pills for pain and things like that, or any other mind-altering medication. So you find yourself watching this video trying to figure out, why is this anxiety so bad, and why do I feel the way I feel? I never felt like this before. I feel out of touch. I feel my reality is not personal no more. Well, that's why you're here. Um, Throughout my videos that I make, if you look at the beginning up until this point, you can see gradual changes. Um, I was fooled by the fact that I thought, when I made the first video, I didn't know that I was still kind of suffering a little bit. At least today I can say that, because I think I still had a little anxiety, but it wasn't enough to interrupt my day. And it was enough to allow me to start feeling more connected to myself, which in turn creates more confidence. But I was probably in a good place, but not in a joyful place, because now the joy is always steady. It's always like this. Always. And when I was making the videos in the beginning, I was good. It was more like, I would say I still probably had about 5% anxiety still lingering somewhere, because the stages that I eventually got to, I experienced the joy feeling, the nostalgia again, the happy, the looking forward to Fridays, looking forward to the summer times, looking forward to just having a good time, enjoying my life, having control over my thinking, able to relive the thoughts that I want to relive, that those welcome thoughts, whether versus those unwelcome thoughts. So, right now, for you guys that's dealing with it, there's unwelcome thoughts that you can't get rid of because they show up on their own. You can't control your thinking, because you can be random in your head. You can be talking 1 minute and all of a sudden your mind is somewhere else. And sometimes we get irritated and upset and discouraged because we can think, but we can't feel. And it's almost like we can think on how we should feel, but we can't feel it, And so I just wanted you guys to know that at the end of the day, man, you do go back to yourself. you go back to yourself again. You become the person that little thought in your head that keep playing back and forth, making you feel unsure, making you feel like the confidence not there, making you ask yourself like, why am I feeling like this? When you do that, that's because deep down inside, you know something's not right. And that's what I call a sane person, because you're very aware of what's going on. You just can't press the buttons and get the power back on, because you're not in control right now. Anxiety is running your life right now, but it expires. I don't put dates. You can give a range of how long you've been dealing with it. Stop jumping on everybody else's bandwagon with their experience, because everybody deals with life traumas and life issues differently. As I told one person, if I had a cut and somebody cut both of us in the same place at the same time and we were both bleeding, well, you might say your pain is worse than mine. But who to say your pain is worse than mine? It just depends on how you feel about the cut. So with the anxiety, it's the same thing. I had anxiety. I didn't go to the hospital, but I was just as vulnerable as you guys were. But with me, knowing the type of person I was before anxiety, I was slightly stubborn. And I was so confident, with my leadership role, my way of how I managed myself. I was very, very private with what I was dealing with. I basically just gave up. Not in a way I wanted to cause harm to myself, but I gave up on the fight. Because I read comments where people were going to the hospital, they wasn't finding nothing wrong with them. People were getting CAT scans and EKGs and all this stuff, and come to find out they couldn't find nothing wrong with them. To read that all day, to see people constantly going to the hospital because of the panics and they can't find nothing wrong, I just felt like, what's the sense of me going? No matter, even though I felt like I felt just like you guys. I felt everything. But like I said, man, life goes back. It really does. Life goes back to the way it was. You get back to your old ways. You get back to your old habits. I told one of my clients, I said, you're going to be the best person in the world when you recover. And remember something, guys. How you feel right now, right? Just imagine when you look around and you see people still living their life and people enjoying their life, and you're wondering, like, are they happy? I wonder, do they feel like I feel? Are they miserable? Are they disconnected with themselves? You know when you have those feelings and you're thinking them out and you're sitting in your car or you at work trying to figure out what's wrong with your life. When you get better, and I don't know how many times I said this to some of the clients I work with, but I mean it when I say this. You literally believe that you're the only happy person in the world. You think you're the happy person. You think everybody else is miserable and you're the only person happy. Everything anxiety is making you feel right now is everything that you're so confident in when you get better. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? Everything that anxiety makes you feel bad about and how it makes you feel like you're the bottom of the bottom, you're disconnected, you can't feel, you just existing, right? When you get better, your life shows the complete opposite. So imagine the opposite of where you are right now at your worstest point. Everything that you feel like you're incapable of is everything that you become so confident in. And all the questions that you have about your life and how you can't see the future, when you get better, you can see your future. You just become what God had created you to be. And then you realize what life is all about. And you literally, I have this, I don't know what kind of syndrome I have, but I have this thing, like, I can go in the store and I'd be so joyful. Like, I'd be so happy internally. Like, I just look at people, just hope that they feel better. And they might be good, but just looking at them, if they're not smiling like me, I just think for a second, well, maybe they're going through something. I just be wondering, hey, how you doing? I just be proud. I be happy about everything. Even in negative situations, I'm happy, right? and you have that power back. And I promise, one thing you're never going to reflect to when you recover: anxiety. And you just feel the way you feel now, but when you recover, man, you're gonna act funny with um, maybe people you met along the way dealing with anxiety. Because once you recover, you don't want to talk to nobody with anxiety. You don't even want to associate yourself with anxiety. Because remember what I just said. Before anxiety happened, did you ever think about it? Was it ever a concern? Did you ever give a damn about who had it when you wasn't dealing with it? Think about it for a second, guys. So imagine when you go back to yourself, that's the same thinking pattern you're gonna have. You're not gonna give a shit about anxiety. It's just the way it is, right? So again, this video was for you guys to let you know, hey, I care. I want you to get better. You don't have to comment and say, did you feel this? Did you feel that? I felt all the symptoms. In my videos, I repeat this stuff over and over. So yeah, you guys are going to watch this video over and over just to get that confidence, that reassurance. But I promise you, I say this in all my videos, I swear to God, and I don't swear a lot, but I swear to God, you go back to yourself. You go back to the old you. You go back to the old you, but more grounded than ever. And we can talk about this chocolate and how you eat and all this stuff and the diet, but when you go back to your old self again, man, you won't give a shit. You go back to eating chocolate and enjoying your life. The only thing you're not gonna do is do the same thing that put you in this situation, and that's caffeine. But other than you enjoying going back to eating how you want to eat, that's up to you. You know what I'm saying? If you get a little chubby, little gut, little stomach and everything, that's on you. But as far as going back to you being a normal thinking person and having your confidence back, having your reassurance back, you don't need the help of me. You don't need the help of nobody. It's just in you. But when you go through go through withdrawals, you get stripped from it. That's all. You get your rights taken away from you. Your rights are taken away from you, guys. That's all. That's all anxiety does. It comes there and it takes your rights from you. And you have to earn it. To get it back, it's time. That's it. It's not about the praying. You can pray as much as you like if that's what you choose to. If that's what you believe is going to help you get through it, hey, I'm not against it. God knows. Pray if that's what you think is going to be necessary. But at the end of the day, it's just time. That's all it is. It just takes time. Enough of my video, guys. Look, y'all take care. Peace. I love all of you guys. Have a wonderful day. Kato.